How's it going, guys? It's Brian in the garage right now because it is just nasty outside. I don't know if you can actually see it, but it's raining. It was actually snowing this morning and this early afternoon, but it turned into rain, unfortunately. But I guess that's progress because it hasn't legitimately snowed in South Jersey in years. But it's rain, it's nasty, it's cold, so I'm in the garage. But I digress. As I mentioned last video, I was consolidating our fleet a little bit here. As I mentioned, I got rid of the Mustang GT, the 2017 S550. I had sold that. And I also hinted that my 2001 Jeep Wrangler Sahara TJ was also going to be put out to pasture. And as you can see, this is normally where my Wrangler would be, but my wife has her WRX parked in here. So, as you can tell, the Wrangler is not here anymore. So I traded it in, and it was not the easiest thing because I had a very, very strong sentimental attachment to that car. As I may have hinted in the past, which is why I hung on to it for so long. I got it back in 2017, and I, kept up with it, but eventually, it just got so old that I couldn't really justify holding on to it, especially now that we have our 2019 Jeep Wrangler Unlimited Sport S. It was just taking up space in the garage. I was literally just starting it up just to keep the battery from dying and driving it around the block. And it also reminded me why I wanted to get rid of it when it was shaking back and forth as I crossed Ben Franklin Bridge into Philly to trade it in. But anyway, so I did trade it in, and I used the trade-in credit as a down payment on my new car that is actually replacing the Mustang, or has replaced the Mustang, I should say. So we'll just do a mental drum roll here. That is correct. I traded it in, and I picked up a new, to me, 2022 Subaru Brz Limited 6-speed manual. That's right, folks. I have officially joined the manual fan club. Now, I know a lot of you are probably thinking that is a totally, out of left field decision to go from an American muscle car to a 4-cylinder, roadster, rear-wheel drive coupe, whatever you want to call it. But ironically, I did want this car back in 2021 when I bought the Mustang, but these brand new were a little bit out of my price range based on my income and my disposable income for a car at the time. But now that I'm making more money and these have gone down in value a little bit, I was able to purchase one. So as you can see, it's white. I haven't had a white car in a long time, probably 6 years since I had my 2013 Volkswagen GTI. But it's white. Didn't really see any other colors that I wanted that were available. I would have liked, rally blue, or maybe I would entertain red. I didn't really want another red car, but, this was a good compromise. I really like how the white comes off, and it's a very just clean. It just complements this car very well. They also had a blue, like my wife's WRX, but I didn't want two of the same color car. I thought that'd be a little bit tacky. But so I picked white, and I really love it. I've been driving it a lot lately, and I just can't get enough of it. I'm not sure if it's the car or it's the fact that it's a manual or a little bit of both, but I'm just having a blast driving it. But yeah, so this is the limited trim, and strangely enough, with this Subaru version of this car, the limited is the top of the line or upper trim, and the premium is actually the base trim. I don't know why they went with that, but they did. But so it has upgraded 18-inch rims, and it has summer tires wrapped around it. Other upgrades that includes, which I guess is a good segue to go into the car. So, we'll push open. Does not have a push start. So as you can see on the interior, just off this, it has the suede seats. It has, this little red stripe for, I guess, sportiness. And let me try and just squeeze in here. It's a little bit tight for me to just pop in. But, yeah, so this is the interior. And I'll start her up. So it has a cool little startup screen. Everything's digital in that regard. Let me turn some lights on just so we can get a better look here. But so it's the Limited, so it's the upper trim. So it comes with the larger screen, Apple CarPlay and Android connectivity. This is the 6-speed manual, as I mentioned. The only modification that this came with was an STI short throw shifter. So I think it's like a 10% difference of throw range. But it's super smooth. My wife, when I let her drive it, was very salty about how smooth the shifts were and how precise they were when you compared it to her WRX's stock shifter. Now, I don't really have a horse in it because I've never owned a manual before up until this point, so this is my first exposure. But it is very pleasant to drive, especially now that I've kind of gotten it down to a T. Like, I was competent enough to drive my wife's WRX in a pinch without, destroying it. But my shifts were a little bit, rough around the edges. So, and I was driving this out of Philly, so that was a heck of a learning curve, to say the least. But I digress. Other upgrades that the Limited comes with, it has an additional 2 speakers, so I think it has 6 speakers in here total. Sound system in this is not known to be the best. That is one of the complaints. So the 6 speaker doesn't really improve it much. But that's another feature that it includes. It also includes the heated and cooled seats. I think the Climatronic control is standard. I could be wrong, but yeah. So this is a very driver-centric and driver-oriented car, which you probably know if you've researched these enough. But it's really great to be in here. And I took a huge hit on horsepower. Obviously, people are probably going to say, you went from a 400 horsepower at the crank Mustang GT to a measly 225 horsepower 4-cylinder, naturally aspirated. But again, it's really about your experience, and just the practicality was also what drove me towards this, because I have a very short commute to work. I drive 2 miles from where I live into Camden City to the waterfront where I work, and when I would drive my Mustang GT, I would just never really get a chance to, drive it, really put it, use all 400 ponies or really floor it. That only really happened if I went up to my mom's or got on the highway or whatever, which wasn't very often. It was maybe once every 2 months at best. So I just didn't. It wasn't that it wasn't a fun car. And it wasn't that I didn't enjoy my Mustang GT. It was just that my lifestyle did not really allow that car to shine, if that makes any sense. But this, on the other hand, I have just been using every excuse in the book to get this out on the road. And also because I have that 7-day window to return it to Carvana if I don't like it. So I've just been driving it a lot to make sure that I do like it, and I just can't find any faults with it. Obviously, the price point on this, you've got some plastic, and some of it's there's some creakiness on the body on the inside, the inside panels, but that's to be expected. It's an affordable sports car. So, but no panels are creaking on the outside or anything from body damage. Everything looks pretty kosher. I mean, again, it's a 2-year-old car. This is probably one of the newest cars that I've owned in a long time. The last new car I owned was my 2013 Volkswagen GTI. But it's just a really nice place to be. I feel like this has a very good balance of tech creature comforts and just raw power. Like, the road noise is very, very prominent when you drive this car, and that's one of the things that they did mention that some people did not like. I don't really mind it because, again, that's what this car is designed for. It's like bare bones, just like, you know, this is what it is. But with that being said, it's a very nice place to be. Like, there is a little tinge of like luxury in here, you know, and they also have like the suede covering the side panel doors here, so that's a nice touch. I don't know if that's standard in the I keep wanting to say limited, but this is the limited, the premium model. But yeah, it's a really nice car. You've got these little push buttons down here that have like that cool effect. It reminds me of my old fully loaded EcoBoost Mustang that had the premium and performance package. They had the little buttons almost like a fighter jet. These aren't as purposeful because, as you can see, it's literally just for just HVAC buttons, like the mode you want it in, and air conditioning and recirculation, and to sync up the Climatronic controls. But so far I'm loving it. You can go step out of the car again. Actually, I'll shut her down since we're kind of done in here. But all right, let's pop out, and the door is very solid. It's like a solid thunk, much more solid than my GT was. But yeah, so let me I always forget where that is. Oh, there it is. Pop the hood, and we'll take a look at the motor. Let's see if I can do this with one hand. Maybe not. Maybe so. There we go. Upsy daisy. Just bear with me, guys. So under the hood, you have a 2.4 liter D45 boxer motor. This is what really sold me at considering this car. The previous generation had the 2.0 liter inline 4 NA, and I initially scoffed at it when they first came out with it in 2013. You know, I saw pictures of the car and I was like, oh wow, that looks hot. I like that. And then the motor was just kind of universally a big disappointment for a lot of people. Obviously, we all ideally would love to have a turbocharged or supercharged version of this car. But obviously Toyota / Subaru is not going to do it. I'd imagine because it would compete too much with the 2.0 liter Supra, which doesn't take much because, I mean, not to knock those cars, but they aren't really being that well received. I personally like them, but it seems like the general public is a little iffy about it. But anyway, it's not happening anytime soon, but I will say Subaru did listen to the complaints, and even if they didn't give a solution that that the public really approved of, they did say, let's make a little improvement. So they upped the displacement by 0.4 liters. So now it's a 2.4 liter that puts out, I believe it's 225 horsepower at the crank and around 183 foot-pounds of torque, which, again, isn't really where I'd like it to be. But again, the power to weight ratio, like, this car is just over 2,000 pounds curb weight. So it has enough get up and go. Online, it quotes 0 to 60 at around 5.4 seconds. I haven't been able to get it there, but I'm also a novice at shifting. I haven't really tried. But that was basically the selling point for me. I was like, they upped the horsepower. You know, even if it's not where I'd want it to be, it's not just 200 horses and you know, sub 180 foot-pounds of torque. So I was willing to give it a shot. And also, just like the whole... Let me close this guy down. Bear with me again, fam. It's also the upgrades they did to the body of the car. I just feel like it looks more modern, more sporty, more aggressive with the side vents for cooling that are actually functional. I don't know if you can see my finger, but I'm sticking it through there, so it's actually functional. I just really am enjoying this car. I know it's only been like 72 hours, but I just don't recall ever enjoying my Mustang GT the way I've been enjoying this. It's been a long time since I enjoyed a car like this. But again, you know, it could have been because of my experiences with that specific GT that I had in the past, which left a sour taste in my mouth. And if you know, you know. If you don't know and you want to know, you can watch my other videos about it. But this is my new pride and joy. I'm really enjoying it. I apologize that it's wet. I was driving it today. I drove it to the gym. And some of this was actually frozen on the back, but it's defrosted and melted a little bit now that, you know, it's in the garage where it's a little bit warmer. But the other feature, actually, while I'm here, so on the limited edition, the headlights actually turn with the steering wheel to kind of follow the trajectory of the car, which I haven't really noticed yet when I'm driving, but I'll pay attention to that later. Oh, and it also has the, what do you call it, lane assist or blind spot sensors, which are beneficial. I haven't really seen mine in action. It so far only senses when I'm backing out of the driveway and another car's coming, so I have to kind of look into that. But good news is, this also still has the powertrain and the limited factory warranty on it because it's a 2022, so I have like another year of a warranty on it. And then Carvana also gave me like a year warranty, or I think a 3-month warranty on the house, which unfortunately has to run together instead of like concurrently. But you know, it's just got a lot of nice accents. A lot of people seem to like the Toyota 86 more than the BRZ, but I personally like the BRZ. It might be because I've always had a soft spot for Subaru, and the fact that it's a boxer motor to me, I guess maybe it only seems appropriate. But yeah, so this is my 2022 BRZ. I don't really plan to mod it much. I did order an exhaust, so that will be in hopefully soon. And that'll probably be my next video, is once I have the exhaust installed. And I just can't wait to hear that boxer rumble, because I think when you're really being completely honest and objective, Subaru is the only one that really got the 4-cylinder to sound pretty nice on their cars. But I digress. Anyway, guys, that's going to do it for now. We're going on 14 minutes. I've rambled enough. But if you have any questions, please let me know. Hopefully you aren't too angry at me for getting rid of the GT. But all right, guys, take care.